Hello again, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of People in the News in North Texas. My special guests today are Pedro and Pete Gonzalez. Pedro is a 96-year-old Flower Mound resident, a veteran of World War II, and a survivor of the Bataan Death March, which began on April 12, 1942. Thank you both for being here. Mr. Gonzalez, Pedro, I'd like to begin by asking you, for those who don't know the history, please tell our viewers something about that infamous death march.
As I say, the death march started in Marvelis Field, which was a Filipino airstrip that was used before the war and partly during the war. The troops were searched before the march. Any individual that was caught with a Japanese flag or a Japanese item was taken out and shot, because they feel that if they had a Japanese item on their person, that it indicates they killed the Jap soldier.
So that's how the Japanese soldiers looked at it. If you had something on your person from the Japanese that you must have
Then the
killed.
march started. The march that I was on, there was about maybe
It was a
three or 400 at a time.
Oh, in groups. They had groups of marching, and many groups, but a total, it was like, how many thousands were in that
Yeah.
march, right? And they broke them down into groups to march them.
Yeah.
And what was the distance of the march? I understand it was like 65 miles in the grueling heat.
65 miles, some say 70, some say 80. The true mileage, I don't think anybody has a real factor.
And how many hours a day did you have to march?
All day.
All day, throughout the heat of the day?
Yeah. Or once during the day, they would stop the march and give breaks to sit down, or stand up, or whatever. But it was in bright daylight.
Daylight.
Even you would.
And that was tropical sunlight, so you were out in the heat.
No shade to
Yeah.
keep from being in the heat, because we had heat with.
What about food and drink? Did they give you any food? Or?
No. The Japs never gave us any food or water. We used to go through a village, and the Japanese, the Filipinos, they would have steamed rice wrapped in banana leaves, and they'd throw it out the window to the marchers.
Oh, to try to feed the marchers. I understand the people who did that, they were shot sometimes.
Oh yeah, if they were caught.
If they were caught feeding any of the hungry marchers, they might be shot. Amazing.
If they were caught, they would be taken out wherever they were, immediately shot.
So there were thousands of Philippine soldiers marching with American soldiers. Right. And what about sleeping? Were you able to sleep during the night?
Yes, until daylight, and it started over again.
Yeah. So you get some sleep at night, then in the morning you'd start marching again. The march went on for like 5 days?
Just about, yeah.
5 days and without food and drink.
We used to get, going through a village, there were artesian wells. Some people are familiar with it. There's a little stream of water coming out of a pipe. And 300 or 400 run off the road to the pipe to get water.
To try to grab some of the water? Yeah.
And some of them did get a drink less than that.
Yeah.
Because you push her over.
Right.
Everybody trying to, 300 or 400 trying to get water. And as they were doing that, the job guards would shoot at random. And whoever got hit, that was just it. They'd shoot from the hip.
So if you were trying to get some water, they might shoot you just for trying to get a sip of water.
In my case, I never had my back to the road. I didn't get any water besides that.
You were injured during the march? Were you injured?
No.
Not during the march. And how many lives were lost? I understand that there was like 10,000 Filipino soldiers died and 1,000 American soldiers died of those groups, out of many thousands.
Yeah.
They died along the way, either from starvation or thirst or shot.
Illness took most of the troops on the death march. Diarrhea, malaria, those who had diarrhea and malaria, they only walked a short distance because that malaria and
Dysentery also, I imagine.
dysentery just were unable to walk, so they were shot or bayoneted by the Japanese.
And some were
They would
beheaded.
change guards during the day. They'd have a truck drop in the guard, and he'd take over while the other one got aboard on the truck.
What kind of road were you forced to march on? It wasn't a paved road?
No,
Was
it's sort of a gravel.
A gravel road?
Gravel dirt road.
Yeah. And so for 5 days in the heat of the tropical sun, without food and water, just driving those people, pushing those people for the 65-mile trek. When did you leave the service, Mr. Gonzalez?
Bob, if I can interject.
Sure.
The reason for that march was to get to a place called San Fernando,
Right.
where they were loaded on cattle cars to go to the coast to get shipped to Japan for forced slave labor in the factories.
Right.
These are the guys that were still well enough to be forced labor and slave labor. The ones that were left behind were being mass murdered by the Japanese because they were too ill. However, he did have all those afflictions of cerebral malaria, dengue fever, beriberi, and he also sustained a broken back, dislocated knee, and fingers were broken by the Japanese, at the hands of the Japanese, but was able still to recover enough because of his youth at that time. The doctors in 1945, when he was released and checked from prison camp, indicated he had maybe 5 to 10 years, and he's 96 now.
Wow.
He also spent 3.5 years as a Japanese prisoner of war.
And I see on your cap that you have a bronze star and a purple heart. So you were wounded as well, and that was the broken back you
Well, he
mentioned?
had shrapnel.
And shrapnel
Had shrapnel.
as well. Mr. Gonzalez, have you stayed in touch with some of the survivors over the years? The other survivors?
In Albuquerque, like I mentioned, I was commander of the chapter of XPW. There was 2 chapters in Albuquerque.
Okay.
I was commander of the Albuquerque chapter.
Yes,
But
I saw an interview you did 5 years ago with PBS. It was on YouTube. Yeah, and it was,
they were not only Bataan POW, but they were Korea POW.
well, we're gonna wrap up now. Mr. Gonzalez, I just wanted to say it's a great pleasure to meet you, and God bless you and your service to our country. A real thrill to meet you, sir. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Pete.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching.